Everybody and their mama was at this wedding except you and I. Today we're going to talk about the wedding by Boaz and how she represented the Ghanaian culture in her wedding in Accra. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome to the family. My name is Vinci. Here on this channel, I like to talk about trending news. I like to also do videos. I'm going to put a link up here if you're interested in watching my other videos. Let's get right into it. Yesterday, there was a wedding. I think if I use the word wedding, it's an understatement. There was a lavish royal wedding in Ghana. Boaz was getting married in Ghana. If you don't know who Boaz is, she came on my radar after I saw some reviews about Real Housewives, and she became a cast member of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So, a little about Boaz. Her full name is Bozema St. John's. She was born in 1977. She's a Ghanaian American and a businesswoman. If you go into her background, oh my God, she is an amazing woman. She's worked as a chief marketing officer at Netflix from 2020 to 2022. She's worked as a chief brand officer for Uber. She's worked as a CMO of Endeavor. She was also a marketing executive at Apple Music until 2017, and then she joined Beats Music. She's also worked at Pepsi, and she's worked as the head of music and entertainment and marketing. So she has like a really good resume. She also has been named as one of the top 50 most influential female leaders in Africa. She has roots in Ghana, and she chose to go and do her traditional wedding in Ghana. To be honest, I don't like to call it traditional wedding. I just say it's a wedding. And oh my God, if you see how rich and juicy the cultural representation was, the Kente, it was the star of the show. A lot of people were in attendance for this wedding. For example, the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, like Dorit, Kyle Richards was there, Sutton was there, and I think I also saw Katie Hilton was there, and they were all dressed up in Kente. Of course, there were a lot of Ghanaian celebrities there. There was the ex-president of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and his wife. The wife of the ex-president of Ghana was also there. There was a lot of TV personalities. There was Jocelyn Dumas. There were a couple of musicians who performed, like Ifia. She's an iconic singer, one of the best vocalists we have in Ghana. There was also Tiwa Savage, the Nigerian musician. Oh, I also saw Quad from Married to Medicine, Yandi from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So, I mean, everyone was at this wedding, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. If there was a couple of videos that I saw online, I'm going to put the credits for the creators who filmed these videos at the wedding. So at some point at the wedding, they cut a cake, and a cake came out of the skies. Yeah, that was that was amazing. Boaz invited the cast members of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to come and cut the cake. So like I said, Kente was really the star of the show at this wedding. One thing that caught my attention was that I think almost everybody was wearing Kente. If you don't know what Kente is a traditional cloth in Ghana. I mean, it's not only in Ghana, because in Cote d'Ivoire, in Togo, in certain parts of West Africa, we all have Kente. To be honest, some time ago, I saw a video on Instagram where someone was introducing Kente in Ivory Coast, and he said that it was originally from Ivory Coast, and people lost their minds on the comment section. Of course, Ghanaians lost their mind. I commented on that video and said, you know, the boundaries are not real, right? So I would say that Kente is from the region between Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Ghana, and Benin. That's a region. We all have the Kente. So Kente is a hand-woven cloth. They do it using cotton threads, and it comes out with different patterns, and each pattern has its own symbolism. There's a Kente for the males, and there's Kente for the women. Recently, there has also been plain Kente. That is, there's no design, just plain. They can also put shimmer. By the way, my sister sells Kente. I'm going to put her number below. If you are interested in buying some Kente cloth, you can contact her. One thing I found so fascinating was how different people utilize the cloth. So for example, the bride herself, Boaz, she had a dress, and the dress was made entirely of Kente. The most beautiful part about the dress was that it had beads embroideries, and the beads were used on top of the pattern, so it appeared like the fabric was shimmering. It's when the light hits the dress. And behind her, so she had a bare back dress, and on her waist she had the traditional beads, which was so iconic because I mean, who would have thought that she could put the traditional beads around the dress? Usually we wear it on our necks or just directly on our waist, but she incorporated the beads on the dress. These beads are glass beads, and these are also locally made in Ghana. They are handmade. The cast of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills were also wearing Kente. For example, Doris had the duku. Now we are trying to stay with our Ghanaian terminology, so she had a duku, and she also had half of the dress was plain Kente, and the other half was the colorful Kente. And this theme was obvious with also Kyle Richards' dress had the same style. A really good Kente dress will always have like a corset behind, and that gives you that snatched look. So they really went in with that. Oh yeah, of course, the groom was wearing an outfit with Kente lining outside of it, and the pocket side, and also just on the cuffs. The chandeliers on the venue also had Kente around it with gold accessories. Amazing. One of the Kente dresses that really caught my attention was Ife's dress. Beautiful. She went with a very non-traditional color, which was purple, and I think this was a northern style Kente, which is very minimal. It has stripes usually. She went with a huge green duku, and with her dress, she had this flowery pattern in crystals embedded in the dress, which the crystals were having this grayish hue. It was beautiful. She looked like a goddess. I wouldn't go with that sleeves though, but when you look at Tiwa Savage's dress, for example, she went with a plain pink Kente fabric. So this type of Kente, you can actually buy it with a shimmer in it already. So this was the style that she went with. And in the tail of the dress, she had some outlines with the Kente. This particular pattern is usually for the males, but nowadays it doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you want. Another dress that caught my attention was Samira Baumir's dress. She had lace, a pink lace on top of her Kente. And here's where it gets interesting. She had flowers attached to the dress. So the top part was lacy, and the down part of the dress was just pure Kente. And then she had these flowery patterns in this dress. And next to her was the former foreign minister. She went with like feathers on this part of the dress. Yeah, so that was also another very interesting use of the Kente cloth. There was a scene that was shot on this wedding where Kitty was performing. That particular scene, someone shot it. I forgot the name of the Sela Dufour. Thank you for this footage. She shot this footage where Kitty was performing, and it almost looked unreal because the chandelier was in the scene and everyone was wearing all these colorful clothes, and this was really a really fantastic scene. This was a really beautiful representation of Ghanaian culture. She made it glamorous. There's a reason she is a marketing genius and she's worked at all these amazing places. If her goal was to market the Kente cloth, then she did an amazing job with that. Is this your first time seeing the Kente cloth? What do you think? My fellow Ghanaians, what do you think about this wedding? Did it do the Kente cloth justice? Tell me all down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Doei!